Hey guys, couple of things. Today's Patreon uploads include Susan Wright, the killer wife, who was just released from prison. You'll be amazed to hear how short her prison sentence was for stabbing her husband, I think it was 193 times, burying his body in the backyard, and then cleaning house and running on down to the courthouse to get a personal protection order against him. Yeah, you heard me right. I think her sentence was 20 years in prison. Well, she's released already. Yeah, you heard me right. Susan Wright suffered from the battered woman syndrome. Susan Wright's defense, I said that wrong. Susan Wright's defense team did an excellent job defending her and presenting the battered woman syndrome defense. And society listened. And society cared, just like the case of Mary Winkler. Mary Winkler took her husband's shotgun out of the closet and shot him and killed him while he was sleeping early one morning. And her sentence was 210 days in jail, with 50 or 60 of those days to be spent receiving help for the trauma that she had been through. And she got out of jail and she was able to regain custody of her children and move on with her life. Mary Winkler had an excellent defense team also, who presented the battered wife syndrome as a defense. And society listened, and society cared. So I think you'll find the Susan Wright killer wife video an interesting upload today. And that will be uploaded to both the Killer Wives tier on Patreon and also the Unlimited Christopher Watts tier on Patreon too. And then we're also uploading a video on Darlie Routier. We're uploading this video to the Darlie Routier tier on Patreon. We're uploading it to the Killer Moms tier on Patreon. And we're also uploading it to the Christopher Watts tier, the unlimited one, too. In this video, I'm comparing the cases of Darlie Routier and the case of Christopher Watts. And I'll tell you why. Because after Darlie was convicted of capital murder and sent to death row, in one of her many interviews, she told the reporter that she had no doubt that had she died the night that two of their children were murdered, had she died that night along with them, according to Darlie, she had no doubt but what? Her husband at the time, Darren Routier, would have been convicted of killing them all. You'll be surprised to hear the similarities between the two cases. I know we've touched on it before on this channel. but I go into a little more detail, and I think you'll find that very interesting. Now for this video that I'll be putting on YouTube, I want to talk about whether or not there was a cover-up in the case of Christopher Watts. And as usual, these are just my opinions. I urge you to research this case on your own, dig in for yourself, and think, and form your own opinions. I don't expect you to agree with me at all. Doesn't matter to me one bit if you agree or disagree. But I urge you to dig in, do some research, and then join in the discussion and share your opinions with others. And together, ask questions and then dig in even further. That's what a true crime case discussion is all about, is being able to have a lot of differing views and opinions and theories, and coming together and sharing those views and opinions and theories with respect for each other's views and opinions and theories. So, I'll get started. Was there a cover-up in the case of Christopher Watts? In my opinion, yes, there was. I was listening to that live chat the other night, and there's a guy named Larry who is very articulate, very intelligent, and he is pretty much insisting that there was a cover-up. And he has a lot of interesting information about a cover-up, and I think, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think, the takeaway that I got from listening to him was that he thinks it has to do with the company that Christopher Watts worked for and the mistress and all that. I agree there was a cover-up, but I do not agree that the cover-up had anything to do with the oil company or the mistress or all that. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people believe that the mistress had something to do with something. I don't. I don't think she had anything at all to do with anything. I just don't. This is what I think. Weld County was the leader in the state, the model program for Child Protective Services. They had the model program, and they won awards for it, which, if you look online, it's really hard to find those articles that were there in 2018 online, and now they're tough to find, that were about how Weld County had actually won awards for their model program for CPS. Weld County had this model program that was focused on trying to, when it was safe to do so, keep the children in the home instead of having the children removed and then having the parents jump through a bunch of hoops to work toward reunification with their children. In Weld County, if CPS deemed it was safe for the children were allowed to remain in the home under what was known as a family plan. In my opinion, there was an open CPS case at the time of the murders. In my opinion, based on everything I've been told and based on all of my research over the last over 2 years, I do not believe that Christopher Watts' wife was allowed to be alone with the children. I've had people contacting me with information who seem absolutely credible, well-spoken, and I'll tell you something, I rapid-fire question people when they call me. I rapid-fire question them, and I'm pretty good at it. And I try to trip them up. And I'll ask questions that may seem innocuous at first, but I'll ask the same question a different way, a few minutes later, and then I'll jump to a whole different topic, and then I'll ask that same question again. Like I said, I'm pretty good at tripping people up. And the people who have contacted me to insist that there was an open CPS case are not able to be tripped up. I've tried. Just like when Darlie Routier's best friend called me back in 2016. Boy, did I put her through the ringer. We talked a couple of different times. And that woman was being absolutely honest because, oh, did I try to trip her up, and she just had the right responses every time. I could not trip her up at all. So when she told me that Darlie had admitted to her that she had murdered the children, I believed her. Well, I'm believing the people who have contacted me over the last over 2 years about the open CPS case, and I'll tell you why. They're all saying the same thing. They're all saying the same thing. The details have never conflicted at all with what I'm being told. And I'll just tell you, this is what I've been told. This is what I believe. Because had I heard it from just one person, you might think, well, that person could just be playing, right? Which would be a pretty sick thing to be doing if someone wanted to just be an ass, I guess. That would be something they might do. But it isn't just one person saying it. And the people who are contacting me are not just random souls who are into true crime on social media either. And that's all I'm going to say. So this is what I was told, and this is what I believe to be true. That in December of 2016, there was an incident at the hospital, and Christopher Watt's wife was accused of medically abusing the children. And from that point forward, there was an active open CPS case. I've also been told there was a CPS case previous to Bella's birth. I don't have details on that at this time, except that there was a previous open CPS case. But in December of 2016, evidently the previous case had already been closed. And in December of 2016, there was a case opened after the hospital accused Christopher Watt's wife of medically abusing Bella and Cece. What I was told is that the girls were set to go home, and suddenly they both became very ill. And the doctor ordered certain testing to be done, and they confirmed with certain testing that both girls had been given something that did not belong. And it made them ill. And Bella was very ill. And very quickly. So evidently the dose given to Bella was much higher than the dose given to Cece. That's what I was told. I was told that it took about a month or so for the lawyers to basically negotiate with the department. Now I have a question. Why was there any negotiation going on at all? Why wasn't law enforcement involved immediately? Or were they? I think that's an important question as we discuss the case of Christopher Watts. Were they involved in December of 2016? And if so, did they choose to not follow up? In January of 2017, Christopher Watts and his wife had a planned vacation, a 5-day vacation. Now keep in mind, her parents were living right in the basement. Yet she asked her mother-in-law, Cindy Watts, who worked full-time, you know. We keep hearing the excuse that her parents didn't babysit the kids because they both had jobs. Well, so did Ronnie and Cindy Watts. And Cindy actually held a job full-time for decades. So Christopher Watts and his wife asked Cindy Watts to fly to Colorado to babysit the girls for 5 days straight during that evident period of time when I'm being told the negotiations were going on. Cindy went to the house, she flew out there, and she babysat the girls for 5 days straight while they went on vacation. There was one time during that 5 days that she got into it with Christopher Watts' mother-in-law. Christopher Watts' mother-in-law, in her letter to the police, explained from her perspective that evidently Cindy wasn't allowing her to be around the kids, and they had a blow-up. And she decided right then and there that she was just done. She was never going to speak to her again. Done. And she didn't. Ever again. That was it. According to Cindy, she did speak up for herself when she said, "Then what am I here for?" That seems like a reasonable question, actually. But a little tidbit of this that none of us have heard yet on social media is that Christopher Watts' wife told her mother-in-law to keep the children away from her parents. Christopher Watts' wife instructed Cindy Watts, according to Cindy Watts, to just keep the children right with her, away from her parents. So Christopher Watts' wife evidently set the stage for the mothers-in-law to have conflict. And then when her own mother was upset and she contacted her, she said she called her multiple times while they were on vacation. And then finally, Christopher Watts' wife said to her that she would take care of it when she got back. So the bad guy, Cindy? But think about the month of negotiations that we're told was going on at the time. Also think about this. Remember the friend? Well, let's back up. In November, the end of November of 2010, a few months after meeting Christopher Watts and quitting her job, Christopher Watts' wife put an ad on Care.com to be a nanny. And she got a babysitting job, babysitting for one child for a couple who soon, within a couple, 3 months, moved to Colorado. That friend was a nurse, so, 6 months or so later, Christopher Watts' wife announced that she was going to be a nurse. And then, at the end of the following year, when she fired Christopher Watts' sister from the bridal party and the flower girl and the ring bearer and another bridesmaid too, it was her friend who she babysat for, who she wanted to be her bridesmaid. When she told Christopher Watts that they had to move to Colorado because her doctor said so because of her health challenges, 'cause she was saying that she was taking 28 pills a day. But then when they moved to Colorado, she stopped taking 28 pills per day. When they first went out there, when Christopher Watts first went out there, because he went out there a few months ahead of her, because of course he lined up work. They stayed at that friend's house for about a year before Christopher Watts bought the house in 2013. So that friend that she was so close to, that she talked about daily, that she seemed to emulate or copy her behavior, that she seemed to, well, I won't say what one relative said, but I'll say it this way. It sounds like she had somewhat of a fascination about that friend. And it sounds like she was trying to act just like that friend, or how she perceived that friend would act. Okay? She talked about that friend all the time. And then suddenly, the end of January, she never talked to that friend again. And she stopped talking about that friend. And she never said a word why. While that friend happens to work at the hospital that, what I'm being told, was the same hospital that accused Christopher Watts' wife of medically abusing Bella and Cece. So isn't that kind of coincidental that the friend who's a nurse at that hospital suddenly dropped off the radar, and Christopher Watts' wife never mentioned her name again? Also, I'll say coincidental, but I don't think it was. I think it was because the people who are contacting me are telling me the truth. That's also when both girls were in daycare full time. Previous to that, the girls were not in daycare full time. And that's also when there was some kind of a big argument, according to Cindy Watts, and Christopher Watts' in-laws moved out. Was there a cover-up in the case of Christopher Watts? Oh, I think there was a cover-up in the case of Christopher Watts. But again, I don't think it had anything at all to do with the girlfriend or with the oil company or with any red car or whatever. I think the cover-up had to do with whether or not there was an open CPS case against Christopher Watts' wife. And I think that second court hearing, the one for the, quote, ongoing family matter, was scheduled to further restrict Christopher Watts' wife's access to the children. I think when Christopher Watts decided to divorce his wife, that his primary focus was on not losing Bella and Cece. And if you take a closer look at those text messages, then you may agree. Because she said to him, "Would you stay with me if we didn't have kids?" And she said to her friends that when she tried to talk to him about the relationship, that all he would do is talk about the girls and say that he did not want to lose the girls. I think at that upcoming court hearing, I think that her pregnancy was also going to be added to an open case. And I think that the mistake made at that point was for Bella and Cece to have been left in the home pending that court hearing. And I think it was a big mistake, obviously. And I don't believe that would have been protocol, to notify somebody of a hearing and to not put safeguards in place immediately to protect the children. I was told that Christopher Watt's wife was bipolar, narcissistic, and she had Munchausen by proxy. I was told that she was not allowed to drive the children anywhere in the car. I was told that the children were to be at the daycare center at the beginning of the day when it opened, first thing in the morning, and that if they were not there, that the daycare center was required to contact the authorities immediately. In my opinion, there was a cover-up. In my opinion, they had an open CPS case. And Christopher Watt's wife was the subject of the open case. And poor little Bella and Cece, in my opinion, were not protected. I think the friend was either hired or recruited to drive the girls in the morning. I think the friend was either hired or recruited, literally, I guess, to go along on those MLM weekends. And I think that last weekend, the friend contacted the parents and said, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help her, but she's in bad shape. And I think when the friend went to the house, dropping her off at something like 1:58 or whatever it was in the morning, I do not believe that that was the last time that the friend saw her alive. When the friend said that she was able to get the doctor's office to tell her whether or not Christopher Watt's wife made it to the appointment, there's something fishy about that. Because that's not how it works at the doctor's office. And when I listened to that 911 call, made much later in the day, there's something fishy about that 911 call too. I think when the girls were not at the daycare center, that authorities were contacted. And I think that Bella and Cece were endangered, missing children from that moment forward. And I think the county actually told the friend to make the call to the dispatch center so they would have a formal record of her calling the police with her story. That's my opinion. That's my theory. There's more, of course, but this video is already getting really long. But before I stop this video, I want to say this. Ronnie and Cindy Watts, you need to take down the circus tents. And you need to hire a lawyer to represent both of you. If for no other reason than so you have a phone number to give people to call instead of talking with you. in my opinion, you also need to look honestly at the fact that your daughter has stayed in contact with some pretty nasty people. So if you're sitting there right now thinking that anybody gives a rat's ass about whether or not your son is ever able to tell the truth about what happened, in my opinion, you're way off base. I don't think your daughter is interested in helping your son be able to tell the truth of what happened. And I think both of you should take your blinders off and see it. She stays connected to people who are nasty. Talk with each other about how interesting the timing was. Right when Mark found a lawyer pro bono, and right when you, Cindy, right when you and I had the interesting conversation about the other lawyer, right when help was on the way. Because remember, you both claim that you just want to know the truth. Right when help was on the way that would have helped you know the truth, within 24 hours, your daughter's friends jumped to pitch their circus tents. There was Kelly first, then Shannon, and then Kim. Within 24 hours. Hire a lawyer, you guys, for yourselves. And stop answering your phone. I've told you, Cindy, over and over again, if somebody has contacted you, then you cannot trust them. Only trust the ones that you reached out to. And I personally think you would do yourself a favor if you'd stop trusting that Jamie actually has Christopher's best interest at heart.